everyone, Joe here with the Idaho Prepper channel, and I just wanted to pop in and make a quick video. But before I get into the video, I thought it'd probably be a good idea to let you guys know where I've been for the last couple weeks. So I've just been out with the flu. I've had a gnarly flu. So we had a family come visit for a week or so, and they brought that flu up that we know all so well, and it just knocked me on my butt. So I'm still in the process of recovering. I'm kind of in that phase where I can't smell anything or I can't taste anything, but that is the least of it. It was really brutal. So I'm glad to finally be recovering, and hopefully I can start putting out some content here. But so the first video I thought I'd go ahead and make for everybody is give you an update on my prepper pantry. So there have been some upgrades that I've made to this pantry and some stuff that I've just added, but I wanted to go ahead and show you some of the things I've done, so stay tuned. This should be a good one. So one of the things I did is I went ahead and reinforced the corners of my shelving. So I put a 2x4 post on this outside corner of this shelving system, mainly because I just had these free floating and they were starting to sag over time. I kind of thought it'd be okay because I have everything screwed really well into studs, but I did notice that after a few years, the weight that I've had on these shelves had started to push these shelves down. So I was having a considerable droop in this shelf here, at least like 1.5 inches from the wall to the outside edge. So I went ahead and put this 2x4 in here, and it braced it up. It sturdied it out really well. The reason I didn't do it before is I was just trying to kind of keep the shelves as open as possible and make it so that, you know, my access to the products on the shelves wasn't so inhibited. So, but either way, it doesn't interfere much with me getting stuff in and out. And it gives me a nice place to hang more stuff. So I ended up putting one here, and then I put another one on the outside edge of the shelves on the other side of the pantry here. I don't have to put them over here. This span isn't very long, so I don't need an angle here or a post right here. And I'm kind of keeping measurements on here so it's not drooping or sagging in any way. I also got a new temperature and humidity gauge for the pantry. My last one just kept falling off the shelf, and it eventually just broke, but I have to figure out a way to mount this thing probably right here. All right, so moving on to this side of the pantry. So as I said, I went ahead and put a post on this side as well and reinforced these shelves here. And I have a clipboard with all of my prep top-offs, and this is like my inventory on my clipboard here. I also went ahead and mounted my fire extinguisher on this post as well. So it was nice to get that up off the floor and mounted somewhere where it's readily accessible. And then on this shelf here, I just keep my buddy heater, and then I have I think this is called like a battery buddy, but it's just a way to keep all of your batteries nice and organized. So I'll make sure to leave links in the description where you can get these things if you're interested. But this is just a much better way to store your batteries as opposed to like just keeping them in a big box, which is how I had them before. And on this side, I just have a spotlight here. So in case the power goes out, this is just a light I picked up at Costco. It's super bright, and it'll light up the whole room. So usually if the power goes out, this is actually the first light that I grab. So it's capable of lighting up a whole large size room. And in this corner here, I'm sure you guys have seen it in my last prepper pantry video, but I just kind of keep basic household stuff like trash bags, some dishwashing liquid, and then I have some hygiene products over here like soap, deodorant, and that kind of thing. Moving over to this corner, I just have a lot of different books, and there's like mostly medical books, but I have like a lot of survival kind of related books in here as well. And then I also keep my Jace Medical antibiotic kit over here. And I have the survival medicine handbook right here. And these are just some basic checklists that my wife put together, and it basically just has the contents and plans for our family in case of an emergency. And then moving over to this box, this is just a big medical box. So I have pretty much everything you can think of in terms of medical supplies. So I have stethoscopes, tourniquets, a bunch of ACE bandage and ointments, band-aids. So lots of stuff in here. It's just packed full. All right, moving over, I have some mason jars here for canning. And this is just mostly miscellaneous stuff. So I have some supplies and tools that I use to make my colloidal silver. So pretty much my whole colloidal silver making kit is in this little tote here, as well as the glass bottles that I keep all of the colloidal silver in. I also just have a box of some Ziploc bags. These are just some egg cartons for our chicken eggs. So for those of you who know or don't know, we sell a lot of chicken eggs, so we always make sure to get cartons. We get these cartons donated, so just good to have them on hand. Some of the neighbors who we give our eggs to, they actually will just return their cartons and then we'll fill them back up again. But it's one of the ways that we supplement our chicken feed for our chickens. So we keep maybe a quarter of the eggs that the chickens lay, and then we sell the rest, and the money that we make from selling those eggs goes to pay for their food. So it's a great way to supplement your chicken income. And then in this tote here, I just have some gun cleaning supplies, and then down here is just some canning supplies. All right, so then here is another one of the features I added, is just basically like a little admin shelf right here. So this desk is pretty much where I clean my firearms. So it was nice to create this little shelf and get my, my cleaning products onto this shelf and some tools. That way it just makes it a lot easier to work on my projects here and not have all this stuff in the way. It also makes for a nice little charging station and just for miscellaneous stuff. So I always keep my flashlights here and I charge them right here as well as with my two-way radios. And then over here, this is just a police emergency scanner. And then I have a box freezer that's just packed full of frozen food. All right, up top here, this blender I actually use exclusively for making all my laundry soap. So I ended up actually just made a video on how I make this laundry soap. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the video where you can watch that video. And then in this tote here is basically all the supplies that I use for putting all of my food in Mylar bags and preparing my food. So my iron is in here. I got 5-gallon Mylar bags, 1-gallon Mylar bags, and then all the oxygen absorbers that I need for storing my food. Okay, so continuing on here, I have some wet wipes here. I have a meat slicer right over here. This is a big heavy-duty pressure canner. And then next to that, I have a meat grinder, my food dehydrator, and in the back there is just another canner. And then on the side here is my vacuum sealer, food saver. And then behind that is my impulse sealer, so I can use this to seal plastic bags and Mylar bags. Okay, next to my box freezer here, I keep a lot of my overflow 5-gallon buckets of food. So this is just more essential type food like oatmeal, rice, flour, that kind of stuff. And then usually when my family and I are working out of one of these buckets, I tend to pull them off the shelf and I keep them here. That way they don't get put back on the shelf and then people aren't aware of which bucket they're working out of. It can be a little confusing, and that way we're not depleting buckets and then nobody's aware. It just kind of creates the illusion that there's food on the shelf. So this has just been a great system to have. So when somebody's working out of a bucket, meaning like they need a bag of rice, because the way I store all my rice and flour is I keep everything in 1-gallon bags. It just makes it a lot easier than having to lug a whole bucket of flour and work out of a 5-gallon bucket of flour for a month or two at a time. So I just keep everything in 1-gallon Mylar bags, and when we need some, I pull the bucket down and we just take it until it's depleted, and then I go and put it on the shelf. All right, and then under my workbench here, I just keep our toilet paper and some water. Obviously these bottled waters are just kind of depleted, but this isn't really part of my water storage prepping plan. So this is just random water bottles that I keep under here. All right, so on top of the workbench here, just kind of missed a few things, but I have this work pad here. This is just for putting your firearms on when you're cleaning them. That way they don't get scratched, so it just provides like a nice soft cushioned surface. And right here I have a C-Crane shortwave radio, and then I just have a cup full of pens. Can never have enough pens. Alright, so from top to bottom, this is just basically cases of food. So most of the cases of food up here are pretty much the same canned food that I have down below. So when I run out of canned food down here, I usually have a case of something like it up here. So that's pretty much what's on this top shelf. And then behind the cases of canned food, I have cases of number 10 cans. So it goes back like 2 or 3 number 10 cans deep beyond that shelf. And then pretty much all this food right here is just miscellaneous food, just a lot of dry goods. So I have a lot of coffee type stuff, so our regular coffee, and then Keurig cups for our Keurig. Got a bunch of hot chocolate. This is just spices. I have cooking oils in here. I also always make sure to keep a container of this Coffee Mate. I don't usually use this in my coffee normally, but in case there's like a grid down situation and we don't have refrigeration, I can't refrigerate my half and half, which is what I usually use. I'd have to resort to this, but this isn't too bad, just not very healthy for you. And then in these containers here, I pretty much just have miscellaneous dry goods. I have to keep them in here because we get mice in here from time to time. It's just a never-ending losing battle with these mice. So I have to just end up putting everything that can be chewed through in these plastic containers, and it keeps the mice away. So these containers here, it's just kind of random stuff. I got a thing of coffee in there. I have a bunch of granola bars for the kids. And in this one, I have like a case of top ramen. And then in this tote here, this is like, I'd say half of it is survival food. So like my Mountain House meals and some ReadyWise meals, things like that. Also keep a lot of pastas and stuff like that. So mostly just miscellaneous type food. And as you've seen before, these are just my 5-gallon buckets of all my staple food. So beans, flour, rice, sugar, salt, all that stuff. And these go 2 buckets deep, 1 row here and another row on the bottom here. And then this all right here, this is pretty much just all of our canned food. This pretty much is just like condiments. So I got like peanut butter, jelly, obviously I got some olives here, there's pickles, mayonnaise, ketchup, that kind of stuff. And then in these containers, there's actually 3 of them. It's just more miscellaneous, mostly pasta stuff, so that I can't keep in 5-gallon buckets, and I don't have a lot of, so different types of pasta that I just didn't want to take the trouble. Some of it's in Mylar, but a lot of it's just still loose inside the boxes, in the cardboard boxes that we buy them in, and then I just put them in these containers here to protect them from the mice. So that's pretty much how I store a lot of my miscellaneous type dry goods. And this canned food here, I just have like a whole assortment of like different soups, canned meat like chicken and roast beef, and then chili, and obviously like the basic stuff like corn and beans and those kind of things. All right, and on top of the gun cabinet here, I just have a bunch of MREs, and then I have some paper plates. It's always a good idea to have paper plates because the power goes out, or you're just in a situation where you don't have like an abundance of water to do things like dishes. Having paper plates just makes life a lot easier in a situation like that. So definitely stock up on paper plates. All right, so moving on to the gun cabinet here. So before I get into this, I'll just go ahead and show you some of the upgrades that I made on the outside. So I went ahead and just put a Velcro strip right here and glued it to the outside of the door. And it just allows me to kind of put on a lot of these different tactical patches that that I don't necessarily wear, but I just kind of wanted to put them somewhere. So that's pretty much what this strip of Velcro is for. So just kind of a nice little feature on the outside of the cabinet. And then right here, I just put a hook, and I have an IFAC hanging on the hook, as well as a sling. And on the side of the cabinet here, I just have my get home bag, which I take in and out of my truck periodically. And then I have this chest rig, which just has like a lot of essential stuff in it. I've done plenty of videos on these, so if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the video where you can watch the videos on this gear. And then down below here, this is actually just a backpack full of camera gear. All right, so moving on to the inside of the gun cabinet here. All right, so one of the things that I added to the inside of the door here is this mag holder. So it just holds magazines. It's just a nice little gadget that kind of allows you quick access to different mags, plus it looks really cool. Below the magazine holder, I ended up just screwing in this old Sherpa holster that I have for this pistol here. So this pistol there's no magazine in it, and it's totally clear. So, but I just thought this would be a good way to kind of affix a pistol to the outside or the inside of a door, and kind of keeps it safe and a lot more secure. It looks a lot better than a lot of the different alternatives that I saw online. Usually the accessories that you can buy for safe doors to hold stuff is just kind of consists of a bunch of like pouches that you just throw stuff in. So I thought this looked just looked a lot cooler. I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to keep permanently, but I just went ahead and put it on there just to see how it worked. All right, so before I get into the inside of the cabinet here, there are some new features that I've added, but I wanted to address some of the comments that I got, or that I have gotten about this gun cabinet, and it's just not being very secure. So obviously, no, it's a wooden gun cabinet. It can be penetrated really easy if somebody's determined to get in here. Plus, I know that the hinges that I have on this door is pretty much the main weak point of this cabinet. My intention was to never try to build a cabinet that was like, that was capable of keeping like, a high level thief from getting to my weapons. It was mainly just to keep my kids away from them and keeping people from just having ready access to them. Obviously, I get people in the comment section that will say, hey, if all I needed was a screwdriver and I can get right in. Well, there's a few levels of security that you'd have to breach before you ever made it in front of this cabinet with a screwdriver. So, first of all, you got to figure out where I live. And secondly, you got to make it through quite a bit of different security cameras and armed people in the house. So definitely a lot of steps you need to get through first before you get to this point. But I will say, and I have been thinking of different ways of securing these rifles so that even if somebody got to this point and this door was off, how can I secure these weapons from, say, just a basic thief? And one of the things that occurred to me is I could actually, and I'll probably do this at some point. I'm still kind of brainstorming exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to run a cable, like a heavy duty steel cable, through all of my trigger guards here, and then lock that cable to like a bolt ring. You know what I mean? I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but basically a steel ring, and it'll run through that, and then a padlock on that. So basically like a padlock, you have like a cable lock with two loops, and then the lock goes through the two loops and just basically holds all of these in here with a cable and another locking system. So if you're thinking of making one of these, but you wanted it to be a little bit more secure, that is like an option as far as securing your rifles inside of the cabinet. All right, down below here, this is where I keep my ammo, and I was thinking kind of something what I could do to secure this is just basically add like a steel grate door right here, and I can hinge it either off this side or this side. It'd be pretty easy, and just put like a basic lock on the outside. And I could do that because this area is recessed, and this door would still be able to shut and have a door right in here. So that might be something I might do too. All right, so moving to the inside of the cabinet. So one of the things I'm working on is a way of securing my rifles up so that they don't fall over. So I ended up getting these forks here, and I got these from Home Depot, and they're basically like forks that you'd screw in, and they hold up like yard tools, like an axe or a rake or something. But they're padded, and I just thought, yeah, they would actually, I think they work just fine, just kind of holding a barrel in place. So I have one here and then two on this side. So I will probably just keep it to the 3 platforms. And then the last thing I have to do is just come up with a way of holding the stocks in place at the bottom. And I think probably what I'll do is just buy a piece of like memory foam and cut out, you know, some areas for the stocks, and then that way it'll secure the bottom stock, and then I'll have a secure point here. But just having these things here like totally secured these and sturdied them up. So for those of you who know, this cabinet isn't really intended to hold like all my weapons. It's kind of like what I was calling my Minuteman cabinet. So I just keep my 2 AR platforms. One is mine, one is my wife's, and then this 10-22, which is just the rifle I use mostly around my property. And then I have my plate carrier in here. So this isn't a cabinet that I was, you know, going to pack full like my hunting rifles and things like that. I don't even think my 12 gauge would even fit in here. But this cabinet's really just designed for these weapons and this plate carrier and these ammo cans. That's pretty much it. So I wasn't really planning on packing that much stuff in here. All right, so pretty much the last things I have in here are just these 3 totes. This one actually right now is just serving as a way of hiding Christmas presents, so I won't show you that one. But this one here is where we keep like our gas masks and equipment that we might need during some type of pandemic. So I have some plastic in here as well with some duct tape, and that way we can make like a decontamination room. I also have a lot of isotat, iodine tablets, and hazmat suits and stuff like that. So, and then in this box here is just full of MREs. So a lot of just an assortment of different MREs. So I have some basic standard MREs here, and then these are kind of like some civilian Sapaco MREs, and then some more civilian humanitarian rations here. So that's, this whole box is just basically full of MREs and MRE type food. And then in this tote here is just where I keep our kids' bug out bags. So each bug out bag has a change of clothes, and then I have some snacks and stuff in here. They have some board games and stuff like that. In case there's an emergency and we all have to get out of the house really quick and we're all in the car, it's just a way to make sure that we have everything that we need for the kids and to keep them entertained. Alright you guys, well I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, I'll make sure to leave links in the description where you can find any of the products in this video. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to be notified of videos in the future, go ahead and hit that notification bell at the top of the screen. And until the next one, stay prepared.